Here, from the depths of Mayan times, everlasting myths and legends arrive as a gust of wind that travel from mouth to mouth among their inhabitants.
Tsigwada pa urumeng tsigbati chicho.
Hele kola kanche eso kin tsigbati tes. Tsitsaste. Tetanilo. Vikain tsigbati es un petsikwa. Tu pekich kelenchich. Pero utsi uyes. Que la uche le chicho tu lak le chicho yan te caso yan chahutano. Lak el yun tsilobo tu much 15 ala kawo. Tium talo sastaval. Kapata tsikwalo. Le chicho wach kimak takiolo. Tu me yanu yashi kuntano yetele yun tsilobo. Minane hukobo, mishe ke hobo, mishe mehen koslobo. Tun sas pikenta, le chicho bo, tun hatsaskons kukukmelo. Tun yutskins kukayo, tu mene muchlan tamba yetele yun tsilobo. Hashtun natsa. Wamas tun sas tale. Tu lak le chicho ba maskamu kayo. Chen le chicho yashchoha, mistano yukke bankumoba. Tial ma yukke mas tun tahkoba wenel, itmas. Tun tuklike yabu bin tele muchlan tambalo. Yaba chichi balo, tun seko kima kola de tumben kien kutado. Tun yautiko vechit yashchoho, kutsayoli, wamaya no kochu tutok te muchlan tambalo. Tun yauta, tun kola lune. Pero le chich yash choha mishtun yaha. Mish ba bet ku il kuyich. Le de kin chokochaho ka ahi. Le chich yash choha sahatalyo ka ahi. Kupakti ku kich kelenehe. Minan yabach kukumte. Uchulu sen kolate. Ach manso la ke chich ka kochte tu. Kuchile much antama la tun katik sa sipite yun silobo. Yun silobo chanun praktiko tu mene. Pues kochu kochu tu tsok. Kato tuklo bashke no beto de chicha. Katun alati tu mene yun silobo. Yetele kabe ku kompahtu neho. Le te kompiske kin. Titulak le balchebo. Katun tsabu kawae. To chich kupiske.
Since ancient times, birds have been linked to the Mayan cosmovision, sharing the same universe and beliefs. The magic of their flight, plumage, and song have forged innumerable legends. Furthermore, within the Mayan cosmogony, birds represent divine energies, such as the energy of life. They would offer protection or appease the being in man and its activities. They were symbols of warriors, the power of rulers, the worship of gods, of corn, and at the same time sided with the animals and collaborated with the gods in the creation of man. As symbols of the energy of death, they also fulfilled an important mission. Because of their capacity of flight, they were able to travel from the underworld to the heavens. Furthermore, the aquatic birds were a symbol of offerings and rites. The birds of the Mayab are captured in the scriptures of temples, steles, friezes, and lintels from their extraordinary architecture, as well as on sculptures, utensils, musical instruments, and time-prevailing ancient codices. Sheltered through thousands of years in Mayan jungles, archaeological vestiges are proof of the symbolism of birds in their spiritual cosmos and of the greatness of these people. Here, stones narrate their lineage and voices continue to be heard in the air. They are the birds that reveal themselves as still another greatness of the eternal Mayab. The Spaniards were fascinated by this greatness upon their arrival to this land. Friar Diego de Landa Bishop of Yucatan makes reference in his manuscript the relation of things of the Yucatan, where he writes about the birds of the land and the sea.
The abundance of birds found in this land is of great wonder, and so diverse that much praise must be given for the blessing caused by their overwhelming numbers.
In these writings, diverse species of birds of the Yucatan are described, making it the first document that refers to the existence of the tallbird.
There is another bird, large and very lovely, of dark green color. It has only 2 long feathers halfway down the tail, and has only a few small hairs at the tip. It lives in buildings and only moves about in the mornings.
This same vision of these marvelous birds is still perceived by modern-day travelers to the Yucatan. A wide variety of wildlife inhabits the peninsula as the result of the different ecosystems. Estuaries, mangroves, hummocks, sinkholes, marshes, coral reefs, and 4 types of tropical forest. A great variety of bird species may be observed at these sites where they nest or reproduce. The bird fauna is so rich and abundant that 540 have been recorded. Of these, 24 are considered threatened, 32 are considered rare, 8 are listed under special protection, 4 are endangered, and 16 are endemic or semi-endemic to the region. Because of its strategic geographical location between the temperate region and that of the tropics, southeastern Mexico is probably the most important critical habitat for the more than 190 species of migratory birds that inhabit this zone upon the arrival of winter at their nesting grounds. The Yucatan is characterized by a great variety of colorful birds, all of which vary in distinctive and curious behaviors as they converge upon this abundant land that sustains them all. Some owe their Maya name to the sound that their song invents. It is not strange to hear from within the depths of the peninsula's lush green forest the call of the beautiful blue-green bird that swings its tail as the pendulum of a clock denoting time. The turquoise-browed motmot is a species from the region whose name in Maya is Tol. In Mexico, it is also known as the clockbird or racket bird. This beautiful species possesses one of the most incredible plumages of the bird world. The Tol is not a common bird. In this species, both the male and female are exactly alike. They both have a relatively long tail of a bright blue that ends in 2 blue and black rackets that appear not to be attached to their body. The movement of their long tails is one of the main characteristics of the tallbird. When they feed their young, they move their tails from side to side like a pendulum. During their courtship, the male spreads its tail like a fan and swings it in successive movements, with brief pauses. The range of this species extends from Oaxaca, Mexico, to Guanacaste, Costa Rica, through Central America on the Pacific coast, as well as throughout the Yucatan Peninsula. It is thought that the tol migrates locally south, where the most dense jungles of the Yucatan are found. During its reproductive period, that takes place between March and September, it prefers semi-arid habitats of low altitude above sea level, where they find the most adequate conditions for nesting, as well as an abundance of insects, basic to its nutrition. For nesting, the tol may utilize 4 different habitats: in wells, sinkholes, in the crevices of ancient archaeological buildings and caves, as well as in quarries where material is extracted for road building. Only within the Yucatan Peninsula, the tol build their nests in colonies of 50 or more pairs. This phenomenon does not occur in any of the other regions where this species is found. The climatic variations can cause wet or dry years. When rain is sporadic, food for the tol is insufficient. Each year, some of the young that are born die due to the lack of food, especially those that hatch later. Like other wild birds, the tol is constantly struggling to find enough food to ensure its survival. Even though its lifespan is expected to be around 10 years, the mortality rate in the nest is higher since it varies between 30 and 45% each year. At the end of the reproductive season, the young tol have to confront the challenge of surviving in a space that becomes greatly reduced due to increased human habitation and will face numerous obstacles before it reaches adulthood. The existing knowledge of the tol is derived from local stories or anecdotes from the local Maya. Just recently, we have started to learn more about its ecological importance and behavior. The one responsible for contributing to its natural history is PhD candidate Troy Murphy, whom for 4 years has been studying the tol, one of the 10 existing species of motmots, which is the only one that is being investigated. Troy Murphy arrived in the Ria Lagartos Biosphere Reserve in Yucatan, Mexico in 1999, where he began his early research.
I'm studying in sascaveras, or limestone quarries, where they extract earth to build roads and to build up towns. When they come in here with bulldozers and extract earth, they leave vertical banks where the birds can then build tunnels into the earth. The tunnels extend up to 2.5 meters, which is quite an amazing accomplishment for a bird that's only 13 inches long and weighs only 65 grams.
It is necessary to capture the tol for its study. To do this, large mist nets are used.
I set the nets up early in the morning before the birds are awake. And when they come to the colony, they don't see the nets. The nets are very fine mesh. They fly into the nets and get trapped. And then every 20 minutes, myself and my 4 assistants go and check the nets, and we discover what we've caught.
When the tol are trapped in the nets, they are rapidly transported to a nearby workstation, where they are marked with colored bands on each of their legs.
There are 15 different color bands that we use. Each bird, in turn, gets its own individual pattern of color bands. So each bird out here in the northern Yucatan where I am studying has its own individual combination of color bands. Now that I am in my 4th year of study, I have over 300 birds in the 7 colonies around the Rio Lagartos Biosphere Preserve that are color banded. I can recognize each bird as an individual.
A blood sample is taken from each toh to learn of the existence of parasites that could have affected their blood cells. They also serve as RNA samples. With great care, 35 measurements are taken from each individual that include bill, leg, wing, tails, racket, and weight.
I've spent 4 years studying these birds. What I've discovered is that this tail, the strange tail that makes this species so unique, is wagged back and forth in order to signal, in order to communicate with a predator. And this is a very strange form of communication. Usually when there's communication, it's between mates or between brothers and sisters, but to communicate from one individual to a different species is quite unique.
Observation work is a labor of patience that demands the participation of an entire team of assistants. This activity takes place during several hours during which the banded birds are observed.
Some of the birds that I captured and put bands on back in 1999 are still coming back to the same breeding colony. These birds touched a place in my heart. They're like old friends.
The toh nest and incubate between early June and the end of July. To analyze the toh's behavior during the incubation period, Troy introduces a micro camera through the long and narrow tunnels. These nests measure between 20 inches and 7 feet long and end in a vault the size and shape of half of a football where they lay their eggs. With the arrival of the first rains at the end of May, the toh lay an average of 4 eggs per nest. The incubation period lasts 18 days. On occasions, these eggs are lost to predators. If this occurs at the beginning of the nesting season, it is possible the toh will lay another set of eggs. It is very common for at least one of the eggs not to hatch. Inside the nests, iguanas may smash the eggs as they try to invade the nesting tunnel. Even when they do not eat the eggs, they still are a serious threat during this period. Troy's observations detail how both parents share turns incubating, as well as feeding the young during a 27 to 30 day period. To study the behavior of the toh allows us to learn about its natural history and problems, which are very important to the protection and conservation of the existing population in the Yucatan. The felling of woodlands and jungles, unfortunately, is a common activity practiced in the southeast region of Mexico.
The largest problem for the motmots is the loss of forest. The birds are required now to travel much further than they were in the past. Now that the birds only have a few small patches of forest to forage within, and these patches of forest are located so far away from the colony, those chicks who are struggling to eat enough now have to wait even longer between each time they feed. So it's not uncommon for 80% of the chicks within one nest to starve to death, which is quite an impact on the population.
In consequence, Deforestation is a synonymous to threat. Perhaps a way to ensure a better future for this species lies in creating a sense of pride and wonder for the beautiful tall bird that inhabits the land of the Mayab. Today, the Tol, restless timekeepers, tell us of the dawn and of the twilight. With the movement of their tails, they denote this time that is theirs and ours, of threats and opportunities from the vastness of the infinite Maya jungle.